Hey, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com. I want to start off a series of my favorite stock plugins in Studio One. Now, this may sound like a line, but a lot of times when I'm mixing, even though I do own, as you can see over here, I do own some Waves plugins, the Gold bundle and also the SSL bundle. Most of the time, I end up using the PreSonus stock plugins. Why is that? They're really easy to use, and they've got some cool features and just stuff that makes mixing go better and faster for me, and I think they sound fine. And there's a few tools over here that I didn't even know existed or that I've not found in another system. One of those being Mixtool. Let me show you what Mixtool is. That's the first plugin I want to show you. That's one of my faves. So if we drag it on a track, it opens up. It's a very, very, very simple tool, but it gives us some pretty interesting features. Block DC offset, that has to do with something that I don't know about, so we're going to skip over that one. Like I said, I told you early on in these videos, I don't know everything about this stuff. So this has something to do with if your recording is weird and if you look at the audio and it's shifted and it's not centered on the horizontal line. I don't know. Anyway, you can correct me, leave a comment, whatever. Anyway, but what I do like about this is there's an easy way to invert the phase, or a better way of putting that is to flip the polarity. I think that's actually more accurate. Where you can flip the polarity of the track that this plugin's on, and you can also adjust the gain. Now, I use this tool in two places. First, when I have let me give you three places where I use it. The first is when I'm mastering. It'll be the first plugin in my chain, and then I'll put things like EQ, maybe a multiband compressor, and a limiter at the end of the chain. And then I'll use the mix tool to increase the volume of the track, of the audio, into the limiter. So the limiter stays at -1, where the ceiling and the threshold are, and I use this to increase the volume. That way, I'm increasing it here, and then all the plugins have that same level going through them through the whole chain, as opposed to waiting until the end to boost it at the limiter. So that's where I use this. A second place where I use this is during mixing. Let's say I've got a mix, I sent it to a client. They like everything, but they're saying, hey, the lead vocal just needs to be a little bit louder overall. Now, let's say I've got the lead vocal track, but I've written a bunch of automation to that track. Something that looks a little bit like this, right? There's automation on that track. If I go over here and move the volume knob up, it won't matter, because as soon as I hit play, it jumps back to wherever the automation is. So there's only really, you could try to select all the automation and lift it up a little bit and try to move it up, but it doesn't work very well. So the easiest way to do that I've found is to, at the bottom of the chain on that particular track, to stick a Mixtool plugin and to adjust it. Oops, stuck in the wrong spot. To just adjust the level here. So if they say, hey, the vocal needs to come up overall, I'll put a Mixtool plugin as the last plugin in the vocal chain, and then I'll go boom. I'll hit 3, boom, 3 dB, it's increased overall. Awesome, awesome. Now, you'll notice when we put this on a stereo track, you can invert the left or the right channels. You can also swap channels. So left goes right, right goes left. Let's say you received overhead tracks where the hi-hat is on the right and the ride cymbal's on the left, but you always like to do it from drummer's perspective, flipped. It's really easy to do. Boink, boink. No, not that. I'm sorry. Swap channels right here. Now it's where you want it. MS Transform, that has to do with mid-side mixing and things like that. I never use it. Some people do, and they love it, and I just haven't been a mid-side kind of guy. So the third place I like to use Mixtool is, like I said at the beginning, as a phase tool. So back over here, where we had it right here on this electric track, or on like a snare track or something like that. If I want to listen to it and see if flipping the phase makes it work better with the other tracks in the session, what I can do is set up Mixtool, hit the Invert Phase button, and now Mixtool has become a phase button in my session. Boom, boom. That's flipped, that's not. Flipped, not. I'll do that, especially on drums when I'm checking things out. I'll drag this over to my snare drum. When I'm checking phase with the overheads, I'll solo the overheads, solo the snare, and I'll just flip this on and off to decide if it sounds better flipped or not, and I'll do that across all the drums. Great tool to use that for, and you can just put it where you need it to be without having a phase button on every single channel, which isn't necessarily necessary. Okay, so the mix tool, great tool, simple tool. Get used to it, learn to use it. It'll make your life a lot easier. And something I just recently discovered, if you look over here in the little plugin window, if you expand this out, it's got some modes that are already set up. So makes your life even easier. Back when I talked about that vocal track, if I want to increase it by 3 dB, I can just drag this preset. It'll insert the plugin with it already set up with the gain at 3 dB. That's insane. You can create your own and save them here. There's also one with the mid-side transform, the phases inverted, and the channel swapped. So if you are okay with, say, taking up some screen real estate with having these open, you can see how that makes your life even quicker and easier. Super, super cool. Love me some Mixtool plugin.